Dream Scenario is a new movie directed by Christopher Burgley, and it stars Nicolas Cage as an ordinary college professor named Paul Matthews, who starts to appear in the dreams of random people. It starts just being his students and his kids, but then we see that thousands of people, random people all over the world, start to have dreams about him, and it becomes this overnight sensation where he's the man in people's dreams. This movie was produced by Ari Aster, and it was at least partially inspired by this creepypasta that I remember reading about called Have You Dreamed This Man, which was just this online story about everyone reporting seeing this one guy in their dreams. I remember my little brother was even saying, like, oh, this is real. And I'm like, bro, this is a made up story. But, this would seem right for a horror adaptation. However, they already did the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and this film acknowledges that dream horror aspect. But it really goes this original route, and I really appreciate that because while they could have done something, new with the horror, and it would have probably felt stale, and it has several sequences in here that are a bit creepy, and I think it knows it is, but it mostly takes the high ground, and it is this really great drama, black comedy, an original, fascinating story about the randomness of dreams, relationships, celebrity fame, and how we can't control what we believe or what others believe. And it really is a great movie, one that I enjoyed for not following the typical formula that most Hollywood films do. Of course, this is an A24 film, the studio, who's mostly known for making unconventional, entertaining movies. And this is another film by them that shows, they don't exactly, you don't need to follow the rules of the blockbuster formula to make a powerful and fun movie. The movie seems at times to meander, the structure seems to kind of not be all over the place, but we're like often following different characters, but I still enjoyed this. And the ending felt a bit abrupt, but honestly, it's very satisfying and, it comes full circle. This movie did bring out a lot of emotions. It's frustrating at times. It's fun to watch. It's hilarious at times. And I think that is part of what makes it so good. You really feel like you're in the shoes of this character. I mean, it does a good job at making you understand what Paul Matthews is going through. This man who's in people's dreams, you get to see how frustrating that can be. That also kind of goes into the theme of celebrity and going into the theme of being seen as something you don't want to be seen as. I saw this in a relatively crowded theater, and my audience was very responsive. First of all, I just want to say I think Nicolas Cage was a great choice. He really owns this movie. He's been in a lot of crappy movies lately. Honestly, though, recently he's been making more select choices, like being in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. I know that was voice role. I think the last movie I saw him in was Croods, but now he's doing very, very good work, like Mandy, Pig, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And he's so great in this movie. And I can tell why he said recently he's thinking about retiring after this. I mean, he's really putting in a great performance. This reminds me of his movie role in Adaptation. He's so awkward, so clumsy, and just horribly, horribly awkward. And he's so good at that. And it's such a fun part of watching this movie. I mean, everyone was kind of collectively cringing at parts, and I think that's just what makes it so good. A lot of this movie deals with how Paul interacts with these characters who see him in their dreams, and people grow increasingly uncomfortable around Paul because he's doing things in their dreams, and he is telling them he can't control what they see, and they start to perceive him as this negative guy because some people have nightmares about him, some people have really good dreams about him, but that's kind of the movie. You're just seeing how people react to him and seeing people, being intrigued from him, from this viral sensation to them being disturbed and having nightmares. It is going to this bigger theme about how we, can't control what people think about us. And it's kind of boosted in this part where there's a viral marketing team who's played by the lead of who is played by Michael Cera. He's the CEO who's trying to take this Paul situation and turn him into a celebrity. They want to, endorse him, make him an advertisement for Sprite so people can have dreams about Paul, but they'll also be dreaming about Sprite. And there's a lot to be said about how we kind of latch onto the viral moment. And Dream Scenario has a lot to say without really making it so obvious. And that's why I enjoyed the movie more than a film like, Saltburn, which was fun, but honestly, it was just so obvious and honestly a little too long. And really, it was just an edgy teen film like, oh, here's jacking off. This is cool. But honestly, I do think this movie is just more deep. It's more I just enjoyed this movie, and it was honestly very fun, which is not something I was expecting it to be, but it was so random and unpredictable, and that's what I really liked about it. Also, I was really thinking about all the characters, even the unlikable characters. It really kind of leaves you thinking about where everyone's mind is, and you just understand people and you care for them, and I think that's the important thing. And like I said before, this also gets the most mileage out of a genre. If you're going straight into this, expecting a horror film, it could have been a piece of trash, and it probably would have been, but this builds its own space. There's a great scene where Nick Cage is trying to explain to his daughter that he has no idea why he's in these people's dreams, and she tells him the kids at school are calling him Freddy Krueger, and he asks her if she knows who that is, but she says she Googled it. And it just shows how this movie's about the age of the internet and not exactly, dealing with trends in the age of the internet where cancel culture and doing what is currently popular can impact humanity and our, perspective on things we've always been familiar with. And another extension of this theme is offered later in the movie where a device is invented that can allow people to dream about a certain product, which comes as a result of this Nick Cage viral sensation. And then there's influencers who want to go into your dream and advertise a product. And it's really just saying that, it's not about the refusal to leave people alone or form our own thoughts, but how we become obsessed with trends. And as a result, how we kind of lose ourselves. There's a great part where there's a dinner party where Nick Cage and his wife go to a very awkward dinner at Spider-Man 2 Professor Dylan Baker's house, only to be kicked out because everyone's having nightmares about him. The movie's kind of like Tar, in a way, only if it was a surreal experimental comedy and if Kate Blanchett's character actually wasn't that horrible of a person. There's even a couple similar lines in here about cancel culture, especially how things just don't go away at first. And it takes time for people to change their views. Overall, I just thought this was a great movie. If you're a casual moviegoer who's looking to watch a good film, I think this is going to be a perfectly enjoyable film. And if you preferred something more deep and also, in that case, it's very good because it leaves you thinking. So it's one of those great movies that has enough for everyone. And at the same time, it's plenty original and creative and it looks great, as well as being filled with great performances, and it's very entertaining. And I was honestly surprised when it was over because it goes by so quick. So I really enjoyed Dream Scenario. Go check it out if you want to see a weird, unique film. This is what, people talk about when they say more original films. It's very original. I haven't seen a ton of movies like that.